Hello, welcome to Sunday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic. Now, today Mark was meant to be doing the video, but we had an issue last night that many of you ran into trouble with regarding the website and being able to play the puzzles. And that should now be completely fixed. But what happened was that we used something called Firebase, which is run by Google. Google is responsible for making sure the certificates are all up to date, so it doesn't have security issues with web browsers, etc. And for some reason last night they hadn't updated what they needed to, and therefore it was causing all sorts of trouble. Now, I've tested it to death today. It does seem to be fine. I guess that's because Google got inundated with cross people saying, why does my Firebase app not work anymore? So it should be okay, but do let us know in the comments to the video or send us an email at crackingthecryptic@gmail.com or tweet at us at @cryptingcracking if you have any problem at all. And Mark's video will go live tomorrow instead. Now, today I have a treat for you. Just look at this puzzle. This is, in my opinion, the most beautiful puzzle I have ever seen. The most beautiful looking Sudoku. The other one that would compete for the title is Serkan Yürekli's one based off Bob Marley, which was a killer Sudoku. But even that wasn't as stunning to look at as David McNeill's elephant. This is quite unbelievable. And the more I stare at this, the more I sort of realise that he's built in extra little tweaks. So there's sort of ground here that the elephant's standing on. I think this is a tusk. I think this number 1 is a tusk. And I think the 7 is a tail. And this is a fountain of water coming out of the elephant's trunk. Whoa. So how stunning is that? Now, you may wonder what the rules are of this beautiful looking puzzle, and it's called a Cloned Strands Sudoku. Now, I did find another one of these. Let me just find it. Yeah, this is from an old UK test. And you can see, I suspect this is David as well. He's made a dog out of this one. But here are the rules anyway. We need to apply classic Sudoku rules. Each strand must have exactly the same sequence of digits. A digit can appear more than once on a single strand. And okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this one's got longer strands than the one we're looking at. This one has, because the one we're looking at has 9 cell strands. I counted these earlier on. So we're going to have to use the constraint there in order to crack the puzzle. Now, if you want to have a go, do click on the link under the video, and I think it should work. Also, just to mention a little bit about David. David McNeill, I've known him for years actually. I first met him in the context of Cryptic crosswords, where he was sort of a champion crossword solver. And then I got into the puzzle scene, and David is... he is as close to a genius as you could hope to meet. He is a stunningly intelligent man and an absolute delight in terms of company. And I knew he was a great puzzle solver, obviously. I mean, his name appears all over the World Puzzle Championships and World Sudoku Championships. I think he's certainly been the senior World Sudoku champion on several occasions, if he's not the reigning senior Sudoku champion. But it turns out David is also extremely good at setting, which I didn't know. So I'm really looking forward to trying the puzzle. And coincidentally, I heard yesterday that the UK Puzzle Association is hosting a tournament or a competition, an online competition set that features just David's puzzles. And I think that's coming up at the end of February, so not that long away. And if you enjoyed today's puzzle, then you can have... you can do lots more of David's puzzles in that test. I'll put a link under the video to the UK Puzzle Association so you guys can check that out. And with that, I'm going to have a look at the puzzle. I don't think I've ever done one of these before, so I'm not going to have any major insights, I'm afraid. So 4s and 8s on this side. Look, that gives us a 4-8 pair straight off the bat on the cloned strand as well. And in fact, this is quite interesting immediately because there's no other communication between the top of the grid and the bottom of the grid. I guess we can pencil 7s in there because of these 7s, but nothing else matches up in the columns. So probably, I've thought of another idea. It might be that we have to use the 4 and the 8 here, or it might be, because these are 9-cell strands, there is a central cell along each of these strands, and that will be the 5th cell. 1, 2, which is... So those ones, we know that these digits, these yellow cells, will contain the same digit in the finished solution. And that might be helpful because we can rule, for example, if we look at this, as we can rule out a 1 from this cell, we can rule out 1 from both of the others. So effectively there is a lot of cross-checking for the options for these yellow cells. So it can't be 1, it can be 2, unfortunately. It can't be 3. I think it can be 4. It must be able to be 5. There's only one 5 in the grid. Oh, this is not as good as I was hoping. 6, 7 are ruled out by these two. And 8, 9 are ruled out. So we can limit this slightly, but not enough. Now, obviously, the issue we've got with knowing there's a 4 and an 8 on the strand here is that we don't know, when we come to this one, for example, we don't know if it's from this end that we've got a 4 and an 8 here, or from the other end that we've got a 4 and an 8. So we know there's a 4-8 pair in one of these options, but we need to disambiguate this. Now let's just see if we can... So if it was the 4-8 were in these two positions, that would have to be this way round. I don't see why that's not possible. And if it was here, again, right, so this doesn't seem to be how to... Let's look at this one instead. So we've either got a 4 and an 8 here and here, or here and here. Ah, right, got it. Right, so this is the first trick. Let's have a look at this. If the 4 and the 8 are close, you know, if it's going along this direction like this, then these two squares obviously have to be 4 and 8, but there's an 8 over here. Now that means this square must be the 4, this one must be the 8. Now see if you can see why this is a problem. It's very clever, because now this 8 forces this to be a 4. And look, now the 4th cell on the strand from this direction is a 4, and the 4th cell along from this direction is an 8. So these are no longer cloned strands anymore. So that is very, very helpful, because actually I'll use undo. That means that these two squares are not 4 and 8, and therefore these two squares are 4 and 8. That means that we can eliminate 4 from all of those squares. Look, oh, like that. Now, yes, and now we can also disambiguate which way round this strand goes. So, let's look at it. If the strand starts from here, if this position is equivalent to this position, 1, 2, these two squares would have to be 4 and 8, and that's a problem for row 6 now, because we've now got 3 cells along here that need to be equal to just 2 different digits. Well, that's not going to work. So the 4 and the 8 must be in these two positions, which means one of these two cells is also a 4 or an 8. But okay, so we still haven't actually solved the puzzle yet, but we do know but we do know the orientation of each strand. So we know that this cell, and this cell are now equivalent, because they are the same side of their strand as the 4/8s, if you like. They are the starting position number 1, as I will call it. Now that means we can use the same trick that we did on the central cell on the strands to see how these are restricted. So can't be a 1. I think it can be a 2. Can't be a 3. Can't be a 4. Can't be a 5. Or a 6. It can be a 7, can it? It can be a 7. Can't be an 8. Can't be a 9. So this, right, so we've got a restriction, but it's not quite enough. Let's keep going. Let's try the second cell. So 1 is impossible. 2 is possible again. 3 is not possible. 4 is not possible. 5 isn't possible. 6, 7, 8, 9. So this square can only be a 2 because of all the checking. That is beautiful. And that, look, now look, this 2 is huge. It's going to fix the first digit now to be a 7, and once we know that, we can do that all the way along each of the strands. And this 2 here fixes the middle cell of this strand. So once we put the 5 in there, we can again repeat the trick. Okay, so now we've made a bit of a breakthrough. This 7 means this is a 7, look. Must be a 2 in one of those 2 squares. This must be a 7 because of these 7s interacting. These 2 squares have got to be 3 and 9 in some order. Therefore there's a 9 in one of those 2 squares because of the way they're interacting. I'm tempted to carry on along the strands. Let's keep going, shall we? So this one, that's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 6th cell along the strand. So that's that one and that one. Let's see what they can be. Right, can't be a 1. Can it be a 2? 2 is really, no, it can't be a 2 or a 3. Can it be 4? I find it very hard to scan this. I think it can be 4. It can't be 5. 6 possible. Is that the only 6 in there? No, 6 looks okay, so it can be 6 as well. It can't be 7, 8 or 9. Right, so let's carry on. One more. This one can't be 1. Oh, it can't. Surely it can't be 2 again. It can be 2 again, can't it? 2, okay. Can it be 3? Can't see why not. 4. I think it can be. 5. No. This time 6. Is 6 ruled out by anything? No. 7 and 9 are ruled out. What about 8? 8 is also ruled out over there. So 2, 3, 4, 6. That seems incredibly open given how many things are pointing at these squares. I'm not sure I believe that one. Let's carry on though. Right, so this one sees a 1 and a 2. This is a better start. Could be a 3, I think. 3s are so open. What about 4? Also can be a 4 again. Bother. Can't be 5. Can be 6. Can't be 7. What about 8? Oh no, 8 still ruled out, 9 still ruled out. Okay, so maybe this last one is the one that will finally crack this open. So this time, now the 1 is possible. You're kidding me. It is. 2 and 3 are ruled out though. What about 4? 4 is not ruled out. 5 is, 6 is, 7, 8 and 9 are. Alright, so this one is more restricted and it couldn't be 9. Because why can't it be 9? Let's just double check that, because it shares that one. Right, yeah, so this has to be a 9 up here. That means there's a 9 in one of those two squares, which is now fixable, look, by reference to the 9 at the bottom. This becomes a 9. That becomes a 9. Actually, I'm just remembering that David always berates me for putting too many pencil marks in the grid, so he really won't like this. 2, 3. So you can see along here, look, that's quite helpful. Column 5 needs a 1, 4 and an 8. Column 4, sorry. So that has to be the 1, and that's going to be massive, because that's, oh, that is massive. That's going to give us a 4, look, at this end of the strand, which means we get a 4 here, and 4 here, and a 6 on this strand as well. So that's 6, isn't it? I've got to be a bit careful here not to mess up in terms of where I'm putting these extra digits. So now the 6 is also helpful, because that rules out that 6 from there. So this becomes a 3, 2. So 4, 3, 2 from one end of the clone. 4, 3, 2 from that end. And this one must be 4, 3, 2. Oh, it's just stunning. I mean, it's just such a lovely idea, and you just could not execute this better. You could not make a more, you know, a more perfect looking elephant out of a Sudoku. Not a sentence I ever thought I'd say. 4 and 8 must be this way around. So I think we've now done all the stuff that we've done with the clones. 1, 6 there. That means this square's got to be a 1 now. This has got to be 7 and 8, which we can resolve. 8, 7 in that order. Up here we're going to need 4 and 5. Again, that's resolvable because of the 4 here, look. Now we need 1, 6 and 8. So that's the 6. This is the 1. This is the 8. 1, 9 here. Now there's a 1 in one of those two squares. This has got to be a 2 to complete the box. This has got to be, that's got to be a 1. Oops. Switch notation, never a good idea. That's a 5. That should be a 3 over here. Now let's just try and sort this out and finish it off. So we've got 5 and 6 into these two squares, which means 2 and 3 into those two squares. That locks the 1 and the 3 pair down there. Let's label these up just so we don't lose track of it. Into this box down here we need 5, 6 and 9. So that 6 here is going to be really helpful. 6, 5, 9 pair now. If we come down this column you can see we need 5 and 6, which is now resolvable. Once we put this 6 in the grid, everything's going to start chaining all over the place. Oh, look at this. 9, 5, 5, 6. Done. That's how to finish off this beautiful, beautiful puzzle. I really hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments, and we'll be back tomorrow with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.